The massive space station spun slowly against the backdrop of endless stars. Inside, Linda Clark stood at the main control room window, watching the last transport ship leave. Her dark hair floated freely in the low gravity, and her blue uniform wore the patches of both Earth Command and the Deep Space Initiative. She was the last human still awake in this part of space, and she had an important job to do. "Computer, start recording the final warning message," she said, her voice steady despite the weight of her responsibility. The computer beeped in response, and a small green light began blinking on the console. "To all spacefaring civilizations who may encounter this message, I am Linda Clark, final coordinator of Earth's Deep Sleep Initiative. The year is 2157 by Earth's calendar, and I am recording humanity's last wakeful message for the next 1,000 years." She paused, looking at the holographic displays showing the locations of hundreds of human ships, each one carrying thousands of sleeping explorers. The ships would travel far and wide, gathering data while their crews slept in special pods that kept them young and safe. "Humanity has chosen to dream among the stars," she continued. "Our automated ships will explore the cosmos while we sleep, learning and growing. But this message carries one vital rule: let them dream. Do not wake us. This is not a threat, but a caring warning." Linda walked to another screen, touching it to bring up images from Earth's history. "You see, humans are remarkable creatures. When we sleep, we're peaceful. But when awakened suddenly..." She let the thought hang in the air. The screen showed clips of human achievements: cities rising from ruins after disasters, incredible scientific breakthroughs made during crises, and peaceful exploration missions. Then it showed other clips: wars, rapid military innovations, and powerful defensive technologies. "We're not violent by nature," Linda explained, her voice gentle but firm. "But we are incredibly good at adapting when we need to. When threatened, humans can go from peaceful explorers to unstoppable forces in incredibly short times. We'd rather avoid that." She walked back to the main window, where Earth was visible as a small blue dot in the distance. "Think of us as bears in hibernation. You wouldn't wake a sleeping bear, would you? Not because the bear is evil, but because startling it would be unwise for everyone involved." The computer systems around her continued their quiet work, preparing to send copies of this message to every corner of known space. Special beacons would carry her words in thousands of languages, including many used by alien civilizations they had yet to meet. "We've left our automated research stations active. Feel free to communicate with them, trade with them, learn from them. They'll tell you all about us. They'll even help you if you're in trouble. But please, don't try to wake any sleeping humans." Linda checked the final systems one last time. Everything was ready. The warning beacons were prepared. The automated defense systems were active but peaceful. The research stations were fully stocked and programmed. "This is how it will work," she said, her voice taking on a teacher's tone. "Our ships will travel through space, gathering information. The crews will sleep. The ships will avoid any conflicts. If you need to contact us, talk to our automated stations. They know when it's appropriate to wake someone up, and when it isn't." She smiled at the camera, trying to make her expression friendly but serious. "We look forward to meeting you all properly someday when we wake up on our own terms. Until then, remember the one rule: let us dream. Let us sleep. When we wake naturally, we'll share wonderful things with you. But please, don't startle us awake." Linda made a few final adjustments to the station's controls. Her own sleep pod waited in the next room. "This is Linda Clark, signing off. Sweet dreams, everyone." The message ended, and thousands of beacons lit up across space, carrying her warning to the stars. Within hours, her own pod would close, and she would join the rest of humanity in their great sleep. The last human light would go out, leaving only automated systems to watch over their dreams. High above, the stars twinkled quietly, and humanity's great dream began. Krelax pressed his face against the viewing window of his research ship, his green eyes wide with excitement. There it was, a human vessel floating peacefully in the darkness of space. The ship's name, Dreamweaver, was written in fading letters along its side. "Professor, we should leave," said Dr. Vixexa, her tentacles curling with worry. She was the team's expert on human studies, and everything about this situation made her nervous. The Council's rules are very clear about human ships. But Krelax wasn't listening. He was too busy watching his research team prepare their scanning equipment. The young scientist had spent years studying human technology, and now a real human ship was right in front of him. "We won't wake them," he said, adjusting his protective suit. "We'll just take some readings. The ship's automatic systems are letting us dock. That means it's okay." Dr. Vixexa shook her head, making the metals on her collar jingle. "The automatic systems are programmed to be helpful. That doesn't mean we should go inside." The airlock hissed as it connected to the human ship. Krelax checked his instruments one last time. "Think about it," he said excitedly. "No one has seen an active human in 300 years. Just a few scans. That's all. We might learn something amazing." Their team of 6 scientists entered the Dreamweaver carefully. The ship's lights came on automatically, showing long corridors with smooth walls. Everything was clean. The automatic systems had kept the ship in perfect condition all these years. "Look for the sleep chambers," Krelax told his team. "But don't touch anything. Just scan." They found the first cryopod room quickly. Through the frosted glass, they could see 2 humans inside. The nameplates read Samantha Wright and Gregory Peters. "Fascinating," Krelax whispered. He held up his scanner, carefully adjusting it to take readings without disturbing the sleeping humans. "Look at how peaceful they are. All this time, just dreaming." Dr. Vixexa checked her own instruments, which monitored the humans' brain activity. "Their minds are very active," she said softly. "Even in deep sleep, they're thinking, learning, growing." Everything was going fine until one of the junior scientists got too excited. He moved closer to get better readings, but his scanner was set wrong. It sent out the wrong kind of energy waves. The cryopod's control panel suddenly lit up with red warning lights. "What's happening?" Krelax asked, his voice shaking. All his confidence disappeared as alarms began to sound throughout the ship. Dr. Vixexa rushed to check the pod's readings. The scanner interference. "It's affecting the sleep systems." Her tentacles moved quickly over the controls, trying to fix the problem. But nothing worked. Inside the first pod, Samantha Wright's eyes began to move under her eyelids. The pod's temperature was rising, beginning the wake-up process that shouldn't have happened for hundreds more years. "We need to leave," Dr. Vixexa said urgently. "Now. Before." But it was too late. The pod systems had already started the irreversible waking process. Warning messages flashed across all screens, first in human language, then translating into Galactic Standard. "Unauthorized WAKUP sequence DTECTE. In emergency PROTOCOLs. In NJGG. Kuryuvu Membiar WRIJT. Samantha. Waking. Kuryugu Membiar PTERs. Greyjoari. Waking. At all systems preparing for Kuryu Rixio Viore. What have we done?" Dr. Vixexa whispered. She looked at Krelax, who stood frozen in horror. "We broke the one rule. We're waking the humans." Through the pod's glass, they could see Samantha Wright's fingers beginning to move. The human was waking up, and there was nothing they could do to stop it. The galaxy's greatest mistake had just been made, and no one knew what would happen next. Samantha Wright's mind started working before her eyes opened. The cryopod's computers were feeding information directly into her brain, helping her wake up safely. Something was wrong. This wasn't a planned awakening. Her fingers moved first, then her toes. The pod systems warmed her body carefully, bringing her back from centuries of sleep. Through the frosted glass, she could see shapes moving. Shapes that definitely weren't human. Next to her pod, Gregory Peters was also waking up. His military training was already kicking in, his mind processing the situation even before full consciousness returned. The aliens watched in fear as Samantha's eyes finally opened. They were bright blue and completely alert. No confusion, no sleepiness. The humans had designed their pods to wake them up ready for anything. "Please," Dr. Vixexa said, her tentacles shaking. "We mean no harm." The pod's door opened with a soft hiss. Samantha sat up smoothly, her movements careful but confident. She was wearing a simple white sleep suit, but somehow she made it look like armor. "You woke us," she said. Her voice was calm, but her eyes scanned everything, remembering each detail perfectly. "Why?" Krelak stepped forward, trying to explain. "It was an accident. Our scanner. We were just curious." Gregory's pod opened next. He got up and moved to stand near Samantha, both of them automatically taking positions that covered each other's blind spots. The aliens hadn't even seen them plan this. It just happened. "Ship status?" Gregory asked, his voice rough from sleep. "All systems normal," Samantha replied. She hadn't even checked a screen. The pod's computers had already told her everything about the ship. "We've been asleep for 312 years. We have visitors." The humans moved with surprising speed and strength. Within seconds, they had positioned themselves between the aliens and the door. No one had even seen them move. 3 minutes until full muscle recovery, Gregory said quietly. "Noted," Samantha replied. Then she turned to the aliens. "I suggest you don't move. Let's talk about why you're on our ship." Dr. Vixexa tried to stay calm. "We're researchers. We study sleeping human ships. We never meant to wake you. Please understand." "Other ships?" Samantha asked sharply. "You've been studying other human ships." Krelax nodded nervously. "Only from the outside. This was the first time we came aboard. We were so careful, but the scanner." Gregory moved to a nearby computer panel. His fingers flew over the controls, catching up on 3 centuries of history in minutes. "Sam, they've got research stations all over the sector. They've been watching our ships." Samantha's expression didn't change, but somehow she seemed more dangerous. "How many ships?" 17 in this sector, one of the junior scientists said quickly. "But we never woke anyone else. Just you." "It was an accident." The humans looked at each other, having an entire conversation without words. Then Samantha smiled. It wasn't a threatening smile, but it made the aliens even more nervous. "Well," she said, "since we're awake, we should probably check on those other ships. Make sure everyone's sleeping safely." She turned to Dr. Vixexa. "You're the human expert." Dr. Vixexa's tentacles curled tightly. "Yes. I studied your history, your culture." "Good. You're going to help us understand what's been happening while we slept." Samantha's voice was friendly, but it wasn't a request. "Greg, ship ready." "All systems online," he replied. "Engine rooms just how we left it." Automatic maintenance kept everything perfect. The aliens watched in amazement as the 2 humans took complete control of the situation. There was no violence, no threats, just calm, efficient action. Somehow, that was even more frightening. "Now then," Samantha said, "let's talk about these other ships you've been studying. And maybe we should discuss that one rule everyone was supposed to follow." The news spread across the galaxy faster than light. In the Great Council chamber of the Zixteri, emergency alarms flashed for the first time in 200 years. Elder Vexna's scales had turned pale gray with worry as she read the report again. 2 humans are awake," she announced to the panicked council. "The Dreamweaver's crew has been disturbed." On the main screen, a message from Samantha Wright played. The human sat calmly at her ship's control panel, looking completely in control despite having just woken up from a 300-year sleep. "This is Samantha Wright of the Earth ship Dreamweaver," she said. We understand we were awakened by accident. We're not happy about it, but we're willing to talk. However, we need to discuss the research being done on other human ships. Now, Elder Vexna watched the human's face carefully. There was no anger there, but something about Samantha's calm voice made her more nervous than any shouting would have. In another part of the ship, Gregory Peters worked with the ship's computers. His fingers moved quickly over the controls as he learned about 3 centuries of galactic history in just a few hours. Dr. Vixexa watched him in amazement. "How can you read so fast?" she asked. "Pod enhancement," Gregory said without looking up. "Our brains work faster right after waking up. It helps us catch up on what we missed." He paused, looking at a particular file. "You've been studying our weapons systems." Dr. Vixex's tentacles curled nervously. "Only the outside. We never went inside any weapon areas." Gregory nodded. "Good choice." He kept reading, but now he had a small smile on his face. Back in the council chamber, the alien leaders argued about what to do. Some wanted to send warships. Others wanted to beg for forgiveness. Elder Vexna listened to them all, then raised her hands for silence. "The humans haven't attacked anyone," she said. "They're asking to talk. Perhaps we should listen." On the Dreamweaver, Samantha was looking at pictures of other human ships. 17 vessels, all being watched by alien scientists. She checked each one carefully, making sure their sleep systems were working properly. "They're all safe," she told Gregory. "No one else has been woken up." She turned to Krelax, who had been very quiet since everything started. "You're lucky. If you had woken up the military ships instead of us explorers, things might have been very different." Krelax nodded quickly. He had read about human military responses in the history files. "What will you do now?" he asked. Samantha smiled. "First, we're going to visit each human ship and put better protection around them. Then we're going to have a long talk with your leaders about respect and privacy." The ship's computer beeped. More messages were coming in from across the galaxy. Some were apologies. Some were welcome messages. Some were nervous questions about what the humans would do next. Gregory looked up from his screen. "They're scared of us," he said quietly. "They should be more scared of not talking to us," Samantha replied. She pressed a button, sending a message to all the alien leaders. "We're not here to fight. We're here to fix this mistake and make sure it never happens again." As the Dreamweaver's engines warmed up, preparing to check on the other human ships, aliens across the galaxy watched and waited. They had broken the one rule of the universe. Now they would learn if the stories about human forgiveness were as true as the stories about human power. The Stargazer's sleep pods opened with a gentle hiss. Michelle Carter opened her eyes, quickly understanding what was happening. The emergency wake-up system had activated after detecting problems with another human ship. Next to her, Daniel Ross was already getting up. As the ship's communication expert, his pod had given him 3 centuries of language updates while he slept. "The Dreamweaver sent us a signal," he said, his voice clear despite his long sleep. "They're awake." On the Aurora, another ship floating quietly in a different part of space, Catherine Hayes and Christopher Blake also woke up. Their ship's computers had received the same alert signal. "Multiple ships are waking up," Samantha Wright said, watching it all happen from the Dreamweaver's control room. She wasn't surprised. All human ships were connected, programmed to protect each other. Gregory Peters looked at the map showing all the awakening ships. 4 ships now. 8 humans awake. He turned to Dr. Vixexa, who was still studying everything with nervous excitement. "Still think waking us was a small mistake." The alien scientist's tentacles twisted anxiously. "But why are more humans waking up? We only disturbed your ship." "Protection protocols," Samantha explained, keeping her voice gentle but firm. "When one ship detects trouble, it warns the others. Some choose to wake up to help." She smiled slightly. "We look after our own." On the Stargazer, Michelle Carter was already working. Her fingers flew over the control panel as she read reports about what had happened. "Daniel," Send a message to the Dreamweaver. Let them know we're up and ready to help. Daniel nodded, quickly learning the new alien communication frequencies. Already on it. The Aurora is calling too. Catherine and Chris are awake. The Alien Council watched all of this with growing worry. Elder Vexna received report after report about human ships activating. They're coordinating with each other, she told the council, working together perfectly, as if they hadn't been asleep for 300 years. Each awake human brought different skills. Michelle Carter was a strategy expert. Daniel Ross could learn any language in hours. Catherine Hayes knew everything about human and alien biology. Christopher Blake could understand any technology he saw. It's amazing, Krelax whispered, watching the humans work. His initial fear had turned into scientific fascination. They're not angry. They're just incredibly efficient. Samantha nodded. We're explorers. We solve problems. It's what humans do best. She looked at a message from the Aurora. Catherine says she's studying the alien scanner that woke us up. She thinks she can help make sure it never happens again. The humans work together smoothly, sharing information and making plans. They talked to the alien leaders, checked on other sleeping ships, and studied everything that had changed while they slept. The Aurora is heading to the Coalition Science Center, Gregory reported. Catherine and Chris want to help them understand our sleep technology better. The right way, without breaking anything. Michelle's voice came through from the Stargazer. Daniel and I are going to help set up better protection around the sleeping ships. We'll work with the alien patrol ships, show them how to watch without disturbing. Samantha looked at the worried aliens on her ship. See, we're not here to fight. We're here to fix things. She checked another message from a waking ship. Though I hope no one wakes up any more of us. We're already going to have enough explaining to do when the others wake up naturally. Across space, alien civilizations watched in amazement as the awakened humans worked together, solving problems that had puzzled aliens for centuries. They weren't violent. They weren't angry. They were just incredibly good at getting things done. The mistake of waking them had turned into an unexpected lesson about human nature. They were teaching the galaxy why they had become such an important part of space exploration, even in their sleep. 1 month after the first awakening, the great meeting hall of the Coalition Science Center was busier than ever before. Catherine Hayes stood at the front, explaining human sleep technology to a room full of alien scientists. Her hands moved as she spoke, drawing diagrams in the air that the room's computers turned into clear holograms. The pods don't just keep us asleep, she said, pointing to a detailed image of a sleep pod. They help our minds grow. We dream, we learn, we plan. That's why we wake up ready to work. Christopher Blake sat nearby, taking apart one of the alien scanners that had caused all the trouble. He worked with Krelax, who had gone from worried criminal to eager student. See this part? Chris said, holding up a small piece. If we change it just a little, it won't interfere with our pods anymore. And it'll work better for your research too. On the Dreamweaver, Samantha Wright sat with Elder Vexna, drinking Earth-style tea that the ship's systems had kept perfectly preserved for 3 centuries. We're not angry about being woken up, Samantha explained, watching the Elder's scales shift from nervous gray to a calmer blue. We're just worried about doing it the right way. Waking up too fast can be dangerous, for us and for others. Elder Vexna nodded slowly. We thought you would be more aggressive. The stories about humans always talked about your power, your quick anger. Samantha smiled. Those stories aren't wrong. We can be dangerous when we need to be. But we're explorers first. We prefer to learn, to build, to grow. She sipped her tea. That's why we chose to sleep and dream among the stars. In another part of the Science Center, Daniel Ross taught alien linguists about human languages while learning all of theirs. His pod-enhanced mind picked up new words and grammar faster than anyone thought possible. Language is about connection, he explained to his amazed students. We wanted to sleep until we could talk to everyone properly. No misunderstandings, no accidents. Michelle Carter worked with the alien defense fleets, showing them how to protect sleeping human ships without disturbing them. The alien ships practiced flying careful patterns around human vessels, learning the right distance to keep. "Think of it like a dance," she told the alien pilots. "You can move close enough to help if there's trouble, but far enough to let us dream in peace." Gregory Peters had surprised everyone by spending most of his time in the alien libraries. He read everything he could find about what had happened while humans slept. 300 years of peace, he said to Dr. Vixexa, who had become a close friend. "You've built amazing things while we dreamed. Now we can learn from each other." Back in the Coalition Council chamber, Samantha made a new proposal. "We want to start a controlled awakening program," she explained to the gathered leaders. "Let's wake up small groups of humans slowly, carefully. Let them meet you, learn about you, teach you what we know." The aliens listened carefully as she continued. "We'll share our technology, our knowledge, our dreams, but we'll do it together, as partners. No more accidents, no more fear." Elder Vexna stood up, her scales now shining with bright, happy colors. "You could have punished us for breaking the rule," she said. "Instead, you're offering to teach us." Samantha looked around the room, meeting the eyes and eye stalks and sensors of all the different alien species. "That's what humans do best," she said. "We learn, we adapt, we grow. And now we can do it together." Across the galaxy, other sleeping human ships continued their peaceful journeys through space. But now they had new friends watching over them, protecting their dreams until it was time to wake up properly. 5 years after the Great Awakening, the Dreamweaver floated near a beautiful blue nebula. Inside, Samantha Wright stood at a window, watching alien and human ships fly together in perfect formation. Each alien ship carried a human advisor, teaching them about space exploration while learning from their new friends. "Remember when they were afraid to come near us?" Gregory Peters asked, joining her at the window. He held 2 cups of the special tea that alien scientists had learned to make just for humans. Samantha took one of the cups, smiling. "Now look at them, dancing through space together like they've done it forever." In the Coalition Science Center, Catherine Hayes worked with a team of young aliens. They studied the sleep pods, making them even better. Now some alien species were learning how to dream like humans, exploring space in their sleep. "Every dream teaches us something new," Catherine told her students. "That's why humans chose to sleep among the stars. Now we can all dream together." Christopher Blake had turned the old scanning room into something new. Aliens and humans worked side by side, creating tools that could study ships without disturbing them. The mistake that woke the first humans would never happen again. "We learned more from that one accident than from 100 years of careful study," Krelax said proudly. He wasn't afraid anymore. Now he helped teach other scientists about working with humans. Elder Vexna, her scales now permanently the happy colors of friendship, sat in the council chamber. She watched as Daniel Ross gave a speech in 12 different alien languages at once. The pod-enhanced human could now talk to any species in the galaxy. "The old rule was don't wake the humans," Daniel said to the council. "The new rule is learn with the humans. We're better together than apart." Michelle Carter led the new defense fleet, where alien and human ships protected sleeping vessels together. They had turned their training dance into a real space ballet, beautiful and safe. "Each ship has its own song," she explained to the pilots. "We just had to learn how to listen to each other." In the Great Library, Dr. Vixexa wrote the story of how everything changed. Her book wasn't about the mistake anymore. It was about what happened after, how being afraid of humans had stopped aliens from really knowing them. "They were never our enemies," she wrote. "They were just waiting for the right moment to be our friends." More human ships woke up now, but slowly and carefully. Each awakening was a celebration. Aliens came from all over the galaxy to welcome new humans and share what they had learned. The Dreamweaver, the ship where it all started, became a special place. Aliens visited to learn about humans, and newly awakened humans came to learn about aliens. The mistake that everyone feared had turned into the greatest discovery of all. Samantha stood in the same room where she had first opened her eyes after 300 years. Now it was filled with pictures of alien and human friends working together. A group of young aliens played nearby, pretending to be sleeping humans having amazing dreams. "We thought waking up too soon would be the end of peace," she said to a room full of visitors. "Instead, it was just the beginning. Sometimes the best dreams are the ones we share when we're awake." Across the galaxy, human ships still slept among the stars. But they weren't alone anymore. They had friends watching over them, protecting their dreams, waiting to learn from them. And when each ship woke up, they found a galaxy ready to welcome them with open arms, tentacles, and wings. The one rule of the universe had changed forever. Now it was simply this: dream together, learn together, grow together. The mistake that everyone feared had become the gift that everyone needed.